It's a day of fast-paced developments in counter-terror operations that are taking place in multiple parts of the country, and the security forces, the investigators, they've also been able to piece together the last moments of the suspected bomber, Dr. Muhammad Umar. Information now coming in. Dr. Umar Muhammad, also known as Dr. Umar Nabi, visited a mosque in Old Delhi just moments before the blast was carried out. Now, sources are telling India Today that they now have CCTV images of Dr. Muhammad Umar entering the Faiz-e-Ilahi Masjid, not very far from the Ramleela Maidan, from the historic Ramleela Maidan, opposite Turkman Gate, in and around the Daryaganj area. He was inside the mosque for over 10 minutes, and then he headed straight back for the Red Fort, and that's where the explosion took place. Now, this mosque is known to house the local operations of the Tablighi Jamaat, and that is a branch that split from the Nizamuddin Markaz. That's the information that is coming in. The investigators are also examining whether Dr. Muhammad Umar from Jammu and Kashmir, working and living in Faridabad, met someone inside this mosque. Did he receive any final instruction? Moments later, there was a blast, and we'll show you those images. India Today has those images of those final moments just when the blast took place. The Prime Minister has just had the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. But I want to quickly bring in India Today's Shreya Chatterjee for this latest developing story, a story that we're breaking here. Shreya, bring us the significance of this mosque that Dr. Muhammad Umar visited. Have the police been able to speak to the Maulvi, the Imam of this mosque? What more information do we have about the final moments of Dr. Muhammad Umar?
Well, you know, Gaurav, this is as investigation unravels that on the day of the blast at 2:30 p.m. is when this terror accused Umar Nabi, he visits the Faiz-e-Ilahi Masjid at Turkman Gate at 2:30 p.m., stays there for 10 to 15 minutes, subsequently moves out of there and goes to the T5 parking of the Red Fort near the Sunehri Masjid. And after that, we all know what transpired that took so many lives. But what we are right now learning is that the Delhi police has made this a part of their official investigation as well. I myself went to that mosque right now. We also spoke to a few of the regular people who offer prayers there. They say that 10 to 15 minutes is actually quite some time to offer a namaz. So big question, was that the place that he chose for his final prayers before he chose to detonate that I-20 car? That's probably something that the investigators will also look at, but he definitely did spend 10 to 15 minutes before he headed to that parking lot where he spent 3 hours. But this is the masjid, Faiz-e-Ilahi Masjid is probably where he offered his last prayers.
Okay, stay with me. There are more developments that are taking place, more information filtering out, because the police, and this is now the National Investigation Agency that's aided by multiple police forces and the Intelligence Bureau, information that is coming in that the mastermind of this doctor's terror module, Dr. Umar Nabi, had planned to carry out the terror attack on the anniversary, on or around the day of the anniversary of the demolition of the structure of the Babri Mosque on the 6th of December, or around the 6th of December. Investigators have been able to piece together some bits of information, and they say that Dr. Umar and some of his associates, who according to them include the doctors from different parts of the country, some from Kashmir, some from Uttar Pradesh, that they were planning an attack to mark what they are calling was the revenge day. They aimed for maximum impact and maximum symbolism. There are also intercepts that the police have been able to gather, and those are details that we are still waiting for. What kind of intercepts are these that seem to indicate that the group had actually shortlisted multiple locations that they wanted to target? It wasn't just any one single location where they wanted to carry out a terror attack. They wanted to carry out multiple terror attacks simultaneously. The plan was finalized after members of the group visited Turkey And that's the interesting new angle to this investigation. Some of the members of this group had visited Turkey, where Dr. Muhammad Umar is believed to have received instructions from his handlers from a Pakistan-based radical Islamist terrorist organization called Jaish-e-Mohammad. I once again want to quickly cut across to India Today's Shreya Chatterjee, who's been speaking to her sources. So there are two very interesting aspects. Choosing 6th of December as the date, and be that as it may, why was then the attack almost a month earlier? Point one and point two. Tell us more about this visit to Turkey and who are these handlers he met in Turkey?
Well, these are all information that's trickling down. The foreign handlers sitting in Turkey of this white-collar terror module were the ones who were giving the point-to-point information on how to proceed. Now, on your question, Gaurav, that if this plan was actually on the anniversary of Babri Masjid, why did it happen before? It happened because the Jammu and Kashmir police noticed those posters, went after the module, arresting them one by one, and in midway, their plan was foiled, and that is the reason, and panic, because Umar Nabi knew he was going to be arrested soon. In order for that, he escaped, he was absconding, he switched off all his 5 phones, and then subsequently, when everything was out, on 10th, he drove that car, and obviously that blast took place. But clearly, what we are learning that there was a particularly selected day so far as the operation's final day was concerned, and there were multiple locations that were plotted. What we are also learning, and probably the investigation will also reveal those places sooner, because they did carry out reconnaissance of multiple locations on where the target had to take place. So many more things to unravel in days to come, but clearly this was a big plan to shock India. Indeed, our agencies and Jammu and Kashmir police contained it to a miniature version. Unfortunately, in that situation, we still did lose some innocent lives.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how devious was this plan of medical doctors? Doctors we go to heal us, but these are doctors who are actually plotting to kill so many innocent Indians. And that just shows the devious nature of the plot of local elements and their foreign handlers. Stay with me, Shreya. I also want to cut across to the other big story that's taking place. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Bhutan. As soon as he landed from Bhutan, from Thimphu at the Palam Technical Area in Delhi, he went straight to the Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital. The Prime Minister met the injured. He then took a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the CCS meeting, and once that CCS meeting was over, there were very crucial intelligence inputs on investigations that were given to the Prime Minister. Now the Prime Minister, even as we speak, is holding a separate meeting with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah and with India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. And this meeting would be extremely crucial. Remember, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and while the Prime Minister was in Thimphu, while he was in Bhutan, he made it very clear the perpetrators will be brought to justice. And this is something that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah also insisted, that there is a detailed investigation that is currently underway, and based on that investigation, the strictest possible action as per law will be taken against the perpetrators and that wider terror-enabling ecosystem. I want to bring in Aishwarya Paliwal for more on this. Aishwarya, you're constantly speaking to your sources, both in the Ministry of Home Affairs and in the Prime Minister's office. What more can you tell us about this meeting that's happening after the CCS?
Well, Gaurav, you know what will happen next, the action that India will take, and what exactly was the loophole. All these things are being discussed. I'm standing right outside Prime Minister Narendra Modi's house. The very crucial cabinet meeting has already taken place. The CCS is over, but another meeting, a smaller set, is now being done by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, because he has all the information. Continuously, he's getting information from all the agencies, and all the heads are now working in tandem. The NSA, Ajit Doval, what exactly is he thinking, and how should India go ahead? What preparation the country needs to do? All these things are being discussed. Let me tell you, the decision will be taken very fast. The decision will be taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The central government is preparing for it. It will be swift and it will be decisive. That's what I can tell you at the moment, Gaurav.
This is extremely critical. So there is a separate meeting that is going on right now. Now give us details of the action taken so far. I believe there have been a series of raids, a series of searches that are being carried out. And while these raids and searches are being carried out in different parts of the country, what we also see, Aishwarya, is multiple other doctors in Jammu and Kashmir and other parts of the country are not just under the scanner, they're also being called in for questioning. Some, I'm told, have been let off after questioning. There are others who've been detained, and this does appear to be a much wider and a far more dangerous module of medical doctors who are meant to heal you, but apparently, at least some of them, if these investigations are leading in the right direction, were actually plotting to kill us.
Definitely, Gaurav. You know, let us just not think of the Delhi NCR region. In fact, all the agencies are now looking at the entire country. Certain states already have been put on high alert. The state of Maharashtra, the state of Uttar Pradesh, the state of Bihar also, the state of Punjab also. Even in Gujarat, the border areas, the agencies are now keeping a hawk's eye on all the border states. Those states from where they think some kind of activity can actually take place. In fact, let me tell you,
okay, we'll be tracking that story for the moment. Many thanks for joining me. Keep tracking that story. I will come back to you for more. We are told in a moment from now, in a short while from now, there will be a briefing of what transpired in the Cabinet Committee on Security. The nation will be informed. Those are images perhaps that we see, if these are live images of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. These were of a short while back, I'm now being told. Joining me on this special broadcast is Lieutenant General Satish Dua. He's former Kashmir Corps commander. He joins us on this broadcast. Also with me is Nirmal Kaur. Nirmal Kaur joins us on this broadcast in just about a moment. But Sushant Sareen also joining me on this broadcast. Sushant Sareen is Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Sushant Sareen, your appreciation of the action that's been taken so far against the accused and the suspects?
Gaurav, I think so far what is happening is that this entire conspiracy and this entire network is being unraveled. I think...
okay, give me a moment, Sushant. I quickly want to cut across and listen into information, and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw.
Of this senseless act of violence and conveys its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. The Cabinet prays for the speedy recovery of all those injured and appreciates the prompt efforts of the medical personnel and emergency responders who have been providing care and support to the victims. The Cabinet unequivocally condemns this dastardly and cowardly act that has led to the loss of innocent lives. The Cabinet reiterates India's unwavering commitment to a policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. The Cabinet also recorded its appreciation for the statements of solidarity and support from many governments around the world. The Cabinet notes with appreciation the timely and coordinated response of the authorities, security agencies, and citizens who acted with courage and compassion in the face of adversity. Their dedication and sense of duty are deeply commendable. The Cabinet directs that the investigation into the incident be pursued with the utmost urgency and professionalism so that the perpetrators, their collaborators, and their sponsors are identified and brought to justice without delay. The situation continues to be closely monitored at the highest levels of the government. The Cabinet reaffirms the government's steadfast resolve to safeguard the lives and well-being of all Indians, consistent with its enduring commitment to national security and the safety of every citizen. इसका हिंदी प्रारूप भी आपके साथ शेयर किया जाएगा और बाकी दूसरे फैसलों पे आता हूं मैं. आप सबको व्हाट्सएप कर सबको जल्दी आराटाई कर देंगे. साथियों, आज 3 बड़े और फैसले लिए गए इस रेजोल्यूशन के बाद में. सबसे पहला एक नया एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन मिशन लॉन्च किया गया है 25,060 करोड़ रुपीस का.
Okay, I want to quickly bring in Sushant Sareen into this conversation. Sushant, zero tolerance for terror reiterates the government, appreciates the timely action, directs that action be taken against not just the perpetrators but also the sponsors and they be brought to justice, and strict national security commitment. That's what the government reiterates. Your thoughts, one, on the attack, two, on action taken so far, and the role of this module of doctors. Sushant, what do you make of it?
Gaurav, first, I think the statement which the cabinet is issued is pretty boilerplate. I don't think you can pick holes in it, but it doesn't really tell you how they're going to go about it. I suppose what you and I are interested in is whether there will be any cross-border action by the government. There is no indication of that as yet, but yes, they will crack down on whoever was behind this particular network. They will crack down on all the people involved with these fellows who carried out this attack, and they will unravel this entire conspiracy and this network. And I think that is what has been happening for the last 2 days. And the speed with which the investigating agencies and the security agencies are working, I think is quite admirable. What they're doing is, layer by layer, they're peeling off this entire conspiracy and unraveling it before us, before our eyes, and they're not leaving any stone unturned. So if you look at the number of people who have been detained, who are being questioned, I think it shows you the seriousness with which this
Okay.
entire issue is being approached. What they will do from here on, I think that is what is going to be extremely important. But as of now, we don't have any indication of how they intend to proceed.
So stay with me for a moment. Stay with me. You raised a very pertinent point and you were asking whether you perceive there would be cross-border action. General Dua, in your appreciation, as of now, yes, we all know that, when there's a terror attack in India that's linked to Jaish-e-Mohammad, the strings are being pulled from across. But as of now, are these grounds for counter-terror operations against a radical Islamist terrorist organization like Jaish-e-Mohammad across, or do we clean the house first?
Gaurav, I think both things would be in order. Uh, we obviously clean the house. We need to take all measures as has been happening over last 15, 20 days, because how it started in Kashmir, and then how J&K police is coordinated with Haryana police, and how J&K police is coordinated with the UP police to raids all across wherever these clues or trails led them. So that is an ongoing process, and I think they're doing a great job. And as it is coming out that if it was a panic attack, then that means they have hit the mark. The agencies and security forces have hit the mark. On the other hand, uh, what action should be taken? The Prime Minister has made a speech, and as you also pointed out, he brought out one sentence. He spoke one sentence in English in middle. And that's what
Yes.
happened after Pahalgam in Madhubani in Bihar. Speaking to our audience in Bihar in Hindi, he suddenly spoke one sentence in English, and that was meant obviously a statement for the global audience. And again, he says, we will go after the perpetrators wherever they are. And so, if you take your mind back when we started these things, whether when Uri attack was a surgical strike was very shallow strike, and then Pulwama was Balakot was a much deeper strike, and then Operation Sindoor was far too deep and extended on multiple targets. So
Yes.
there is obviously going to be some proactive action when the Prime Minister speaks like this. What shape it will take is not for us
Okay.
to guess, because we'll have to leave that for the leadership of the moment,
Fair
both
enough.
military and political, to decide.
Nirmal Kaur, as former Director General of Police, your appreciation of the challenge the country faces when it comes to a module of doctors allegedly involved in a massive multi-city terror attack on Indians. And these are Indian doctors. They're from Jammu and Kashmir. They're from Uttar Pradesh. They've benefited and they're the cream of our society considering they're doctors, and yet they're out to bleed us.
Truly, the government has spent a whole deal of money, subsidizing their education, making them doctors, that they can come forward and serve the society. Instead, they are indulged to anti-national activities, they are forming groups, they are getting so radicalized. I think that you spoke of challenges. The biggest challenge right now is to stop this infiltration of sleeping cells. You have so many sleeping cells, so many, you can't even, and also radicalization, which is our biggest threat
Yes.
right now. that these elements, they are being like, there is this Shopia paramedic who's been radicalizing these doctors out there. So, radicalization is our biggest threat right now. Highly educated people like these 5, 6 doctors, the lady doctor,
Yeah.
she wanted to
From a
be
topper
some
to a
kind of a
suspected
team
terrorist, you're
leader.
absolutely right. It's shocking because she's had the best of everything in society, and yet she would choose a path of terror.
And,
Mr. Sahai, as former Karnataka ADGP and somebody who's looked at cyber security very closely, do you look at this radicalization? Is it happening online? Of course, in Kashmir, we saw this paramedic who was radicalizing these elements, but is it a combination? Is this one kind of, overload on their system that they are being radicalized in such a way that they're unable to sift between fact and fiction, and they're going down the terror way? What's happening and how do you arrest it? Okay, sir, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
I think the current round of radicalization, as it was in the case of Syria, it is a complete comprehensive sort of a radicalization. And remember those days, there was a correspondent who got into this sort of a cell, and 1 month's complete radicalization process she went through, and that was brought down in a book. So it has a toolkit which has been successful in large parts of the world, and primarily that is also being tried in this country. And if you go by whatever has unraveled so far, I think they were successful in this level of radicalization. Now, where we are failing is there's a huge amount of electronic intelligence and signal intelligence which is coming to us, and we are banking on that on a very big way. But the human resource intelligence on the radicalization part, because it was happening from 2021, 2022. So on the radicalization part, might be the other intelligence is there. But human resource intelligence primarily on organizations or enterprises which are likely to fall in this trap. I think that is somehow, as far as the current understanding goes, that is missing. And they have been moving on this radicalization process after your promulgation, after your repealing of 370. So it was
Yes.
seen that they are lying low, the stone pelting is not happening, and one odd incident, though grave in nature, has happened. But while lying lull, this is the activity which they have been doing, and they have been spreading their tentacles in a very, very surreptitious manner. And
Okay.
whosoever selected that the doctor should be their weapon and their tool in their war against India through terrorism,
Oh,
that fellow
absolutely,
would
sir.
be.
We are getting the first statement from the Cabinet Committee on Security officially stating that the Red Fort bombing were the attempt, the vehicle attack was a VBID, was a terror attack. So it's official now. Of course, when a case was registered under sections of the UAPA and the investigation was handed over to the National Investigation Agency, it was officially a terror investigation that had been initiated. But the government has now officially confirmed that the Delhi blast was a terror attack. Dr. Soumya Avasthi, does this change the nature of the direction of the investigation? NIA is investigating it. There are cases under UAPA that have already been registered. Does it add momentum to the investigations? Does it now, become more focused in its approach to deal with, ma'am?
Yes, given the fact that UAPA was evoked at that time, it's really clear that any kind of attack on the national symbols, which Red Fort is equivalent to attacking the sovereignty of the nation. And because of that, this act had to be implemented. And now the investigation will actually get expedited. There will be there will be a special court which will be in place, and the suspects will be under remand for 180 days before the charge sheet is filed. So that gives a lot of time for the investigative agencies to move forward with a focused mind. And given the fact that there is a clear indication already, and which was likely in this case more inclined towards Jaish-e-Mohammad because of the women doctor involved, and
Yes.
she was apparently also claimed to be heading the women wing, which was also inducting online courses for women to follow jihad radicalization. You asked a very important question on radicalization, and I think, given the fact that now the social media and the way gaming applications are being used, so radicalization is not limited to universities or madrasas, but it has gone beyond that into the digital world. So it is becoming a big challenge for the nation to counter radicalization. But simultaneously, I think we need to do more. We need to have stronger laws on how the gaming applications as well as the social media platforms are being used for propaganda and for signaling. And yeah, so that is where I feel the challenge
In
lies.
Sushant Sareen into this conversation, because Sushant Sareen, what I find extremely worrisome in this case is the fact that you have medical doctors, people you and I would go to saying, heal us, look after us. We trust them to nurture us back to health. These are the people who are actually plotting to kill us. I mean, whether it's this group of doctors from Jammu and Kashmir or Uttar Pradesh, or the doctor from Hyderabad who was trying to make some chemical toxin to mix in fruit and vegetables, and in one report that I read, in Prasad, and kill as many innocent people in crowded places. How widespread are the terror tentacles of these doctors? What do you do in such a case?
Yeah, Gaurav, no, I don't want to be facetious about this, but the fact of the matter is anybody who wants to kill me, I don't care whether it's a doctor, engineer, an MBA, somebody working in an MNC, I don't care. But the point is that terrorist is a terrorist. Now, this
No, but the
particular
fact is that a doctor you would trust, an Ajmal Amir Kassab, you'd probably be aware of. You'd stay at an arm's length. A doctor you would go to and say, you're treating me or you're treating my family.
I don't think I would have gone to these doctors anyways, but the bottom line is that, look, the fact of the matter remains that, look, you have to understand that there is a climate in which there is a bunch of people who start getting radicalized. In this particular case, it's a bunch of doctors. In another case, it could be a bunch of engineers. Gaurav, there's a question I've often asked people in security services. When 10 or 15, for example, students in a university are sitting down, let's take, for want of a better word, Jamia Millia University or Aligarh Muslim University or one of these universities. Uh, People of a particular persuasion, people of a particular faith, and that could be any faith. What are they talking about? What are the conversations happening between them? What are the things which are agitating them? I know what my kids are discussing. They're discussing pop music, they're discussing jobs, they're discussing all kinds of new things which are happening. What are other kids discussing? I think we are completely blind to this. As a result, when these things erupt, we are taken by shock. How come very educated people from really rich or well-to-do families who don't need to take to terrorism, why are they doing
Yes.
it? Terrorists are not doing it because they want to make money. Terrorists are doing it because they have been convinced that this is the path forward, this is the path to Jannat. So I think we need to be very careful, and we need to be very aware of what is this menace that we are dealing with. And
Okay.
unfortunately, despite 40 years of dealing with it, I still don't think we have adequate understanding.
Or are we too soft? Are we too unwilling to call a spade, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, and go after these elements? And is this, in your view, ma'am, while it may have been good intelligence and good operations in nabbing these elements before they could carry out that big terror attack, sadly, 8 to 10 people still lost their lives. Is this an intelligence failure if this indoctrination was on from 2021-22 and they still succeeded in carrying out a terror attack in 2025? Is this a failure of intelligence at multiple level, including what these chaps were talking in their colleges and universities and were being radicalized by that paramedic?
That's universal knowledge. That's universal knowledge, and that is there's nothing, that fault lines are so deeply drawn. And what you're saying is the terrorists have to succeed only once. The security agencies to succeed all the time. There's this message that sent by IRA man to Margaret Thatcher. Okay, we fixed,
Yes.
but we have to succeed only once, and you have to succeed all. So I wouldn't call it as an intelligence failure, but universal, it is in front of your own eyes. You refuse to see it. There is this Khoja Muslim family that migrates to some place in Africa 250 years ago. The son makes it big, and he's claiming Muslim identity. In India, Shias and Sunnis do not even acknowledge Khojas as Muslims. They came to India to escape persecution at the hands of Muslims. That's how Khojas and Boras came to India. And now, away, thousands of miles away, he's talking of persecution of Muslims in India to get Muslim votes in New York. And he actually did
Okay.
end up in an election. So you think there's
So
any
give me a
secret
moment
about what
before
they
I
talk
bring
about?
in General Dua and Mr. Sahai. I want to cut across and bring in India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal, who's joining us after this Cabinet Committee on Security meeting and briefing. Aishwarya, explain the significance of the government after the CCS meeting, officially now calling it an act of terror. How do things change in terms of action that will be taken against the perpetrators? Do we see special courts and time-bound action now?
Well, definitely, Gaurav, let me tell you, this is very, very clear message which is now coming in from the government. The government now saying that this is an act of terror, something that all the teams at the moment were also pointing towards the fact, the funding which came in, the way in which we are now seeing people being added people who now are being told what exactly to do. The idea was to kill as many people as possible. So this is a clear statement, a crisp and a short statement coming in from the government of India. And that is why, Gaurav, let me tell you, the meeting that took place almost half an hour with Home Minister Amit Shah, MD NSA Ajit Doval and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the three of them sat and they had a half an hour meeting. What needs to be done next? Now, this is something which is very, very crucial, something that the government will now very keenly will have to look at. And from what I can also understand at the moment, we will also tell other countries the action that India will now be taking, because this is something, Gaurav, and you also understand it very well, that this is something that the government of the country does not take very lightly. There are lives that have been lost, and there was a larger plot that was being made. There were different states.
Absolutely. In fact, that is the Cabinet Committee on Security. The decisions that have been taken, the information that's been put out in public domain. General Dua, you've operated in Kashmir very extensively, sir. Are you surprised that there are these multiple doctors from Kashmir and doctors from Uttar Pradesh, from well-to-do families, a brother-sister duo, very well off, and the doctor from Hyderabad, and these are all elements in different entities plotting to kill fellow Indians?
The short answer, Gaurav, is no.
You're not surprised?
Excuse me.
Wow. Go on, sir.
The short answer, I'm sorry, I'll start again. The short answer, Gaurav, is no. I'm not surprised. Because in the past also, we have seen, more than a decade ago, when it was the IM, Indian Mujahideen, along with Simi, they were engineers. It was not white collar terrorism at those days also. Then we had a couple of engineers entering the Hizbul Mujahideen in Kashmir while I was serving there in Kashmir. So we have seen this happen off and on. Then we've also, after abrogation of Article 370, approximately 5 years ago, we started seeing a new term called the hybrid terrorist, which has now morphed into a white-collar terrorism. So I'm not surprised that this is happening. In fact, it actually focuses us towards this angle also. We should not only look at terrorists from a certain strata of society. We should be aware and conscious of the fact that we will get more and more terrorists from this places where or such strata that we may be a little unsuspecting of. And I think to add one sentence to what you were asking your own news reporter, the government, the Prime Minister during Operation Sindoor or before Operation Sindoor had said that any act of terrorism will be treated as an act of war. That was a very clear statement. And now that the CCS has declared, after due investigation and diligence, that this is an act of terror, I am sure we are going to see very concrete action. Where, when, and how, we will have to leave it to the leadership to decide.
Because this will have to be a multi-pronged offensive, Mr. Sahai. You've dealt with, in Karnataka, highly educated engineers, software engineers, who are in some instances self-radicalized, looking at Islamic State literature and becoming Islamic State terrorists. We've seen that in Karnataka, we've seen that in Kerala, we've seen that in pockets of Bengal. If you were to map our country from Kashmir to parts of Haryana to Uttar Pradesh to Andhra Pradesh to Kerala to Karnataka to Bengal. Trouble seems to be in various places. Now, how do you counter this threat? What needs to be done? Clearly, there cannot be a magic bullet. While we deal with the enemy across, how do you deal with the enemy within?
See, radicalization is something which has been reinventing itself again and again and again. And there has been different modalities from Syria to Afghanistan and finally coming to India. So as a silver bullet, it is not going to happen, but primarily it happens. One is the lone wolf stage. The lone wolf stage, I think it has been crossed. The lone wolf stage has crossed because we are having a very coordinated, integrated, focused, intense radicalization, which is primarily aiming at a sleeper cell. It is aiming at a group. I presume or I hope that this is the only group. There can be any number of groups.
Yes.
So the quality of radicalization is supported through social media, through YouTube, and also you have the local handlers. As you have these handlers outside of this country, you have handlers like the Molvi inside India as well. And a paramedic teaching radicalization, it is primarily, if you read Yuval Noah Harari, it is though he talks about the digital world, it is the hacking of the mind, which is the most subversive thing which can happen, which you cannot see on the face of it. Now, at the level of encryption and level of variety of other things which are happening, now it has become very, very difficult to handle because 98% of our interaction today is primarily on the digital channels. So one is radicalization with the instant communication. Added with that, there are physical elements, human resource elements, which are radicalizing on a day-to-day basis. So unless we are able to map, in the current case, with huge amount of investigation and a very, very integrated approach, we have been able to map at least to some level. If we are able to map to this level, the next concentric circles also have to be mapped, and the de-radicalization strategy has to be worked out, and we have to start with at least couple of these cells and spread it around. We have to iterate and find solutions. There are no ready-made solutions. You have to iterate, find solutions for yourself.
And this must be done very openly. This must happen across the length and breadth of our country. If certain elements need to be ostracized, if some elements, Dr. Soumya Avasthi, need to be put in jail, they must be put in jail without fear or favor. And even if there is an enabling ecosystem, and Sushant Sarin, I'll come to you in a moment on that enabling ecosystem. But Dr. Avasthi, right now, I want to talk about action that we need to take within and action that we need to take beyond. Elements in Pakistan who are radicalizing, elements in Turkey who are radicalizing, the funds flow, that needs to be unraveled because somewhere down the line, this is India's problem and there are too many enemies at multiple levels who are working in tandem to bleed us from within.
Yeah, so yes, Gaurav, I'll add one more point to why radicalization and doctors you are talking about it. It becomes easy for educated people to get recruited because they start rationalizing the violence through selective religious or ideological interpretations.
What
And
a
moreover, the
shame,
terrorist organizations deliberately recruit these doctors, engineers, and other skilled professionals because they bring their expertise and moreover, the credibility that they get. Because today I will go to a doctor, I need a doctor for treatment. So that's why it becomes credibility becomes easy. They can get access to hospitals, to public places. If Kasab goes looking like Kasab, he will not get entry into a mall. But if a doctor walks in, they will be thinking, okay, it's looking like an educated person. So that is why they are moving towards these educated professionals and getting them recruited. Now, coming to the question on why and how can we, counter these radical people or radicalization, I think we are doing good job by bringing up new laws that are targeting the core issues of radicalization. Like I spoke about initially on the online gaming bill, that was interesting because it's not just bringing financial crimes, but also it is becoming a weapon or a tool for online module of training the recruits. So you don't need a battleground. You can actually do it on Call of Duty or Roblox. So that was one of the reasons to have an online gaming bill. We have also seen how Popular Front of India has been banned. The moot point where I want to really emphasize here is we need to relook at the Societies Act, which was written in 1800s. because that is what becomes an easy way to re-register themselves. So that's why SIMI has taken the shape of Campus Front of India, because the Society Act is allowing them again and again to rebuild themselves. So that is something we need to look at. And of course, we need to spend a lot of money on countering these radicalization groups, because you need people from within the community also to come
So,
forward and
Sushant
talk
Sarin,
about the right religion.
is India too soft a state in dealing with these elements? So, yes, and Ajmal Amir Kasab was given due process of law, tried and ultimately hanged. Many saw that as politics. But when you look at the Batla House encounter, when you look at the politics around Batla House encounter, do we have an enabling ecosystem that may, for a Muslim vote bank, actually go the other way and become a terror-enabling ecosystem?
Two, 3 points, Gaurav. Number one, what would people who said that hanging of Ajmal Kasab was a political move, what would they have us do? Put him in parliament and make him represent the people?
Probably they would.
It's ridiculous and bizarre, the kind of stupidity that we see in our public spaces. Second, I don't think we are a soft state. I think we are a confused state. Uh, when India wants to be hard, it can be really, really hard, right? It can be a pretty ruthless state when it wants to be. The problem is that the way policy making is done in this country is rather confused. So, for example, let's talk about radicalism. How do we define radicalism? How do we define, say, religious radicalism? Now I can show you very well educated people on Twitter, for example, which is one of the social media handles platforms I use, saying stuff which make your skin crawl, right? uh, would that fit into the definition of radicalism? If it does, then why is nobody acting against them? Is mere banning them good enough? Something more needs to be done. Does your
Yeah.
legal system provide you with the kind of latitude you need to crack down? And how do you draw the balance between cracking down on these guys but also allowing freedom of speech? Now, these are very, very serious and very, very sensitive issues which you have to deal with a great degree of sensitivity, because otherwise, if you are going to use a hammer to do this, you have a
Yes.
Nepal-like situation, right? So, these are things which should have agitated our policymakers 10 years back.
Okay.
I don't
Sir,
know if
give me a moment. Give me a moment of breaking news coming in. The National Security Guard Commandos, their team has just reached the location where that red Ford EcoSport was found in Faridabad. The red Ford EcoSport, that car that was suspected to be housing perhaps, storing more ammonium nitrate or other explosives. That was the intelligence input that went out earlier this afternoon. Those are live images or slightly deferred images that are coming in of the NSG team. Remember, the NSG has the National Bomb Data Center. They have the biggest team that can, one, defuse bombs, two, have data on bombs in the past, the biggest data bank on improvised explosive devices where signatures can be matched. That is that Ford EcoSport that you see on your television screen, and of course the NSG vehicle that has just come in. So this red EcoSport has been found. There were intelligence inputs that seem to indicate perhaps some 300 kilograms of ammonium nitrate was missing. It may have been stored or hidden in this red Ford EcoSport, but we will wait for the NSG team to carry out its operation, and only then will we know the latest. India Today's Shreya Chatterjee and Arvind Ojha get us more on the day's developments so far.
After a blast in I-20 killed 10, a second car of terror is now in focus. A red EcoSport with plate number DL10CK0458 has been seized by the Haryana cops. The red EcoSport was found parked near Khandwali village in Haryana. The car is registered to suspected bomber Dr. Umar. He allegedly used a fake Northeast Delhi address to purchase the car. India Today tracked that address, the house now raided, sealed and empty.
जब हम इस इलाके में पहुंचे और T-486 जब हम पहुंचे तो यहाँ पर मौलाना साहब ने हमको बताया कि यहाँ पर एक नहीं 4 मकान T-486 है। एक बार कैमरा पर्सन से कहेंगे थोड़ा तस्वीरें दिखाएं। देखिए पहला मकान, ये आप एड्रेस देख सकते हैं, यानी कि पहला मकान ये जिसके मकान मालिक मोहम्मद अयूब जो हाजी हैं वो बताए जा रहे हैं। यहाँ बताया जा रहा है कि देर रात दिल्ली पुलिस के साथ साथ जांच एजेंसियां यहाँ पर पहुंची जो बम ब्लास्ट की जांच कर रही हैं। वहीं अगर हम बात करें दूसरे मकान की तो दूसरा मकान इसके साथ T-486 बताया जा रहा है जिसमें फिलहाल फ्लैट बनकर तैयार हो गए हैं। तो अभी तक नबी भट्ट नाम का कोई व्यक्ति हमारे सामने नहीं आया। अब ऐसे में नबी भट्ट के नाम के व्यक्ति को ढूंढना खासा मुश्किल होगा।
As the investigation widens, 5 Delhi police and multiple ATS teams are chasing the men behind the blast. Dr. Umar worked closely with 2 others, Adil Rater and Muzammil, both from Kashmir. The trio allegedly ran a terror logistics network of nearly 10 members, half of them medical professionals. Another key player is Dr. Shaheen, believed to have links with Jaish-e-Mohammad. She radicalized her brother, Dr. Parvez Ansari. He has now been arrested, and during raids at his home, ATS recovered 6 keypad phones, a computer, 3 knives, and a heavy dagger, all now key evidence. The investigation now reveals that 2 encrypted telegram groups radicalized doctors. Through online chats, they were brainwashed. The chats began with Free Kashmir and quickly shifted into a global jihad narrative calling to avenge injustice. After radicalization through the chat, Imam Irfan indoctrinated the doctors. After that came a trip to Turkey, now suspected to be the turning point. Sources say that's where the doctors met Jaish handlers, who tasked them with executing the Delhi strike. And now from Delhi's lanes to Turkey's terror trail, investigators are joining the dots fast. Bureau Report, India Today.
There is clear and present danger. It's not just in Jammu and Kashmir or in Faridabad or in Palwal or in Delhi. I also want to now take you to Hyderabad because there is another doctor of death who's just been taken into custody, fortunately, before he could carry out a terror attack by the Gujarat Police Anti-Terror Squad, because this is a huge, huge threat. This doctor of death, Dr. Mohyuddin Sayyed, who was planning a poison attack, a toxin attack to kill thousands, mass casualty attack through a toxin that he was trying to put together. Details of that chemical terror plot involving ricin, a deadly, odorless, tasteless toxin with actually no antidote. Details coming up. So these doctors of doom were not just planning to kill you through improvised explosive devices or ammonium nitrate. There's another doctor who's now been taken into custody by the Gujarat Police Anti-Terror Squad, who was actually planning a terror attack through a chemical attack, which involves that deadly toxin called ricin. It's deadly, it's colorless, odorless, it's a toxin with no known antidote. Even a tiny amount can be fatal, making it one of the most dangerous substances known to man. We are now told that from the first arrest of this doctor, 2 more accomplices have been taken into custody. But the bigger plot, he'd bought the chemicals, he'd bought the tools, he wanted to make not just this weapon for mass casualty, he was also scouting various places, crowded places where a large number of people could be killed. We bring you more in this report.
A successful Operation Sindoor. and rattled terror groups. From Jaish-e-Mohammad to ISIS. All deeply troubled by the dismantling of terror modules on Indian soil. While Jaish used Dr. Death and his colleagues to allegedly plan and execute the Red Fort blast, ISIS planned a horrifying chemical terror plot. Just days ago, Gujarat anti-terror squad arrested 3 men, including a doctor with a Chinese medical degree, for allegedly trying to produce a lethal chemical compound called ricin. Meet Ahmad Mohiuddin, the very face of this unique terror plot. This doctor from Hyderabad was exploring ways to weaponize ricin. His alleged plan was to inject the toxin into fruits and vegetables and to poison food items sold in Hindu areas. The police say he allegedly surveyed Asia's largest wholesale fruit and vegetable market in Delhi, the Azadpur Mandi, Ahmedabad's Naroda Fruit Market, and the RSS office in Lucknow. These spots were chosen for their dense crowds and high public activity and were being considered as potential targets.
सैयद जो है वो बेसिकली लगभग 35-36 साल की उम्र का एक व्यक्ति है जिसने चाइना से MBBS किया है। ये काफ़ी पढ़ा लिखा है, काफ़ी रेडिकल मेंटलिटी है इसकी। ये भारत में मोटे प्रमाण में मतलब बड़ी लोगों को नुकसान पहुंचा पाए इस तरह की आतंकवादी घटना को अंजाम देना चाहता था।
It is essentially a protein that can be extracted from the castor bean. It has no smell and taste and is 600 times more dangerous than cyanide. And there's no antidote for it. Needless to say, the ease of producing the poison, coupled with the very low doses needed to kill, make it a challenge for law enforcement. So is ricin the new bioweapon on the block threatening India? Should India be worried? With Manjeet Negi, Bureau Report, India Today.
A toxin that's 600 times more lethal than cyanide. I want to quickly bring in India Today's Brijesh Doshi, joining us live with the latest on investigations. Brijesh, again, is this a module? Was he a lone wolf with some accomplices? What more have investigations revealed so far?
Gaurav, this terror module was busted on the 8th of November, where Gujarat ATS has arrested Dr. Moinuddin, who traveled to Ahmedabad to pick up the ammunition adjacent to Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, Kalol area. Before he can return to Hyderabad, Gujarat ATS has nabbed him from the Ahmedabad-Gandhinagar highway, and also with the ammunition he was arrested. Also, Gujarat ATS has collected some chemical with him, though it was not verified at that time. But after that, Gujarat ATS has claimed that it was ricin made from castor oil. It is more poisonous, 600 times more poisonous than cyanide, and it doesn't have any antidote. So that's why it is more dangerous. This is the first kind of this new terror module of Jaish-e-Mohammad, as per the claim by the Gujarat ATS, that this is a new terror module of Jaish-e-Mohammad. We have seen that lone wolf attack or the suicide bombing or the attack like Pahalgam. But this is the first time that liquid terror attack plan was made by the Jaish, and that's why it is more serious attempt towards the any kind of terrorist activity, and that's why Gujarat ATS has nabbed him from the Ahmedabad and then arrested 2 other people who were connected with this Dr. Moinuddin. They were residing in
It's very, very sinister, as you very rightly point out. Both Jaish-e-Mohammad, modules, one from Kashmir, operating in Hyderabad, operating in Palwal, operating in Delhi, with elements in Lucknow, and this module of this doctor of death operating from Hyderabad, arrested from Gujarat. I will leave you with a question. How many more like these chaps are out there even now plotting to kill you and I and other innocent Indians? And what will it take to nab them and take the strictest possible action as per law to bring the full force of justice of this land against those who live here but peddle Pakistan's agenda? We'll be tracking that story very, very closely. That is all I have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.